begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Lisa, for recording, starting that. I missed that. All right, we have 4 items on here today, and we have a school board meeting at 6. So we'll run through it. We're going to start with the high school building update here. Mr. Joshua Hoops.
Thank you, Lisa, to follow up the presentation.
There she is. Let me back up just a minute, Joshua. Yeah. All board members are present except for board member Ossendorf and board member Buck. They will not be able to join us this evening, and we look forward to them joining us on November 6th. Also present is our superintendent, Martina Wagner.
All right, Lisa, if you're gonna go ahead and go to the second slide. So again, my name is Joshua Fuchs. I'm the high school principal here in Red Wing. I just want to share a little bit something about me so you can understand the way that I'm going about the work that we're doing to get the school year started. So my personal philosophy, I operate by these 3 Ps. Staff here have heard me talk about this a lot. I do intentions every year. I set these intentions a couple of years ago, which had to do with purpose, plan, and patience. I know what my purpose is. I know why I'm here. I know what kind of work I got myself into joining Red Wing. I'm excited about it. I've been developing the plan with my team as the school year gets going, so like relationships are a huge part of that. And things don't always go exactly the way that you want, and so it takes a lot of patience each day as we're going through this work. Next slide, please. So just some highlights, just some of the things we want to talk about really quick. Obviously, we had an open house. Staff reported to me that it was one of the best attended open houses that we've had recently. In the last couple of years, we had a pretty significant turnout. 2 things that I contribute to that. 1, we didn't release the schedules. Parents had to come in and pick them up. Our purpose of that was to make sure that we were hopefully going to get some more forms turned in that we haven't traditionally got turned in over the years, and an opportunity to make sure we meet our students and meet our staff. One thing that did happen is we had a lot of students show up without their parents, which shows students taking responsibility for themselves and their lives. So that was a little piece that was a little bit of a surprise. But it just gave us the opportunity to start off right away, starting to develop relationships, most importantly for me through that. I would have the bottom bullet point there really quick. Obviously, you're aware of the events we've held so far this year. We've had a couple of events. Homecoming was somewhat different than it has been in the past. We had to make some adjustments based on the number of instructional minutes that we have available to us. We have a lot less days to play with. Hopefully, we won't have to talk about that as more when it comes to winter events this year. Too much. We still had a fantastic homecoming week. Sounds like students had a good time, and we're still doing an action report on that, talk about like what things will we do to make adjustments to our next couple of events that we have coming up, such as the Veterans Day event that all of you I'm sure are aware of is our next major event. Indigenous Peoples Day was designed and led by our students, and that was a really beautiful event. We did do some mini PD in the morning with our staff to talk about smudging and the practice of smudging. We did that in the morning with some of our staff that should just come and join us and talk about that practice. And then I'll talk about these next 2 pieces a little bit more in depth, which are 2 of our implementation pieces that have been going on so far this year. Next slide, please, Lisa. So we were asked, you can't really see this, but it's our current reality where we're at with our vision card. I'd be happy to share my vision card with you, like what we've been developing with our team this year. This comes from the data that the school district gathered last year through all the listening sessions, the voices, your input. But some of the big things on there were about establishing a student leadership team, staff will elect an instructional leadership team, and then parent opportunity would be part of that design and engagement. I'm very happy to report we've actually already met some of those steps on some of those pieces. So we did establish our instructional leadership team. I appointed 5 members for half of that team. The other 5 were elected. Teachers elected those teachers to represent them on the instructional leadership team. We had 16 people get nominated. We had 12 teachers run for those instructional leadership team positions, and 5 got elected. And they had a heavy hats, because like I was asking them to do things differently than they've traditionally done in the past. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We meet every week as an instructional leadership team every Thursday morning. Or if you ever wanna come see what that looks like, you're welcome to join us. They were asked to do things that they haven't traditionally done, like which is do walkthroughs in the classroom. That's where a lot of my work is done. I'm in collaboration with Martina and Allegra around student leadership in the building right now. Those are some pieces I'll talk a little bit more about in the future. But we've got the initial stages of that set where we're doing some of this engagement with our students to try to change some of the reality. Next slide, please, Lisa. So BAR is in implementation this year. This has been probably one of the heavier asks of our teachers this year. It is one of those pieces that is an outside program. I worked with this in Brooklyn Center. It was actually really nice to go through the training formally. I had not been through the training formally in the past, but it is better achievement, reducing risks. And so our students are currently, I should put it in the PDF. Our students are currently in the process of like being identified through their teachers. Our 8th and 9th grade teachers are working to use their data to identify students that maybe need more supports, and we put tier 1 and tier 2 interventions in place for them. Interventions that are tier 1 are things that we can do like right there in the classroom for them and try to meet some of their needs. Tier 2 interventions might be something we add on for them to get additional support, maybe meeting with a counselor or maybe a referral to Firmware, any of our outside agencies that do support us with some of that work. As far as implementation goes, this graph that you're looking at, they came in and did their first evaluation of us to see how well we're doing. We're actually doing far better in a lot of categories than they expected us to be doing. I think that really attributes to our team like leaning really in, and that our teaching staff is doing really well with this. One of our teachers, Sam Graves, got a shout out for how well he's running his iTime activities with the students, clearly developing relationships with them. This is the way that we're going to interrupt some of the things that have been going on historically here. The last couple of years. So this is where we're at so far with implementation of that. You can see that we're like emerging in many of the categories. A couple categories we're not there yet, like family partnerships, which goes back to the vision card, where we need to still do some work around that piece to like really get this going with fidelity. But for this starting in July, as far as training goes, to implementation now here in October, the team was really impressed with how well our teachers are doing with this so far under the leadership of Nikki as well, who helps guide this as a BAR coordinator as part of the leadership. Next slide, please. So the next couple slides, I'll just kind of go through these really quickly. So traditionally in schools, a school administrator is assigned to doing observations and walkthroughs on the teaching staff. One of the things I learned as a teacher is that I wish I had been doing observations myself as a teacher a lot more when I was younger, because I think that I've learned more from observations than I was ever able to give necessarily in observations for a long time. I think there's a lot of value in it. So I told the instructional leadership team that one of my expectations they would actually do walkthroughs. They would go see their colleagues teaching and provide them feedback, because I think teachers need to have feedback, and I think they need to feel supported by their colleagues through this process. And so this is the new observation tool that we're using, the new rubric that we're using. That's what some of this language is up here. The important part of this, on the next couple slides, you'll see is there's categories of data and percentages, like how often they're seeing something. So what are we seeing and what are we not seeing when we're in the classroom? That's kind of what we're looking at right now. So what they do is they go in, they observe for 15 minutes in the classroom, and they highlight 3 things that they want to like call out and name the teacher, like, hey, these are 3 great things that I saw in the classroom today. They'll put a little bit of data behind it, there's some verbiage behind what they saw, they'll try to name it and categorize it. And then they'll go, and here's one wondering I have. Something that either they didn't have enough information on, or they're curious about, or something they're maybe a little bit worried about or concerned about. They want to give that teacher feedback on that piece. Here's the important part. It's coming from a colleague, it's not evaluatory. It's much more receptive. So Lisa, if you want to go to the next slide. So you see how the percentages change a little bit. So it's the same categories, but tendency is to name the first one is like the most important to them, the second one and the third. That's kind of how I look at this. Go to the next slide, please, Lisa. So the categories are still the same, but you see how the percentages kind of change. There's 2 big buckets around this. The second one, so domain 2 has to do with like classroom environment and behavior. That's not actually the active teaching, that's the active setting up the stage for teaching. And then bucket 3 is the actual active teaching. So when we get into this third highlight, you see more stuff around classroom environment and behavior. It kind of tells us that they're recognizing these things are in place and they want to name them and call them out. Next slide, please, Lisa. Then we get into the wondery category. This is one that's so far that's kind of interesting to me because it's pretty evenly distributed about things that the teachers are kind of wondering about. But we unpack this in our instructional leadership team to talk about what kind of professional learning should we be giving our teachers, and what are their needs. So our ILT is beginning to see their colleagues and go, oh, I know who can help with this, or I could do a PD on this and give back to the teachers on some of these areas that are kind of gaps or weakness areas for them. So they're, again, feeling supported, feeling valued through the process. So far in just a couple of weeks, we already had 29 walkthroughs conducted. So that means 29 times 15. That's how much time our instructional leadership team has spent in the classroom on just walkthroughs, and that's just teachers doing that right now. Next slide. And then what they do is, even though they might only highlighted 3 things, they name all the things that they saw. And so again, we're looking at like how often are they seeing each of these elements. One thing that's kind of nice is in past practice in previous districts, we'd see categories that we've never seen for some reason, and we kind of wonder about that. We're actually seeing things across the board when we're going in classrooms, even though it's a 15-minute snapshot of a 45-minute class, we're still seeing everything, which is a really positive sign as well. Next slide. So like I said, next steps, we're working on student engagement. We developed a new bell schedule that didn't include advisory. We built it into 4th hour. Here's a knowledge gap, an information gap that I had. I didn't know that clubs and organizations met during advisory, and I inadvertently eliminated that. And so we're in the process of developing an alternative bell schedule for the remainder of this semester to get our student engagement back up in those areas, and putting the plan together about that. And then a more long-term plan for second semester as we analyze bell schedules. As we know, the high school day got shorter, the number of periods stayed the same. And so we're talking about some of those challenges that teachers are experiencing right now to talk about future bell schedules and what it could be and how do we get our student engagement back involved. And as far as like parent engagement, like that's work that has not begun yet and it needs to begin. Naming it right now so I can be held accountable for it, because it's a really important component of what we need to do to get just parents in our building and engaging them, and not just our traditional ways like open house or student conferences that are coming up. Last slide. So I actually had moved this earlier and I forgot to tell Lisa, so that's my mistake. I wanted to put this up front. So one thing, as like we're talking about things, is like we do have things that occur in the high school. They become public events sometimes. But it goes back to all the other things I named in the previous slides. So we've had 32 students suspended so far this year for 86 days, which to me really hurts my heart because like it means we're not meeting kids' needs in some shape or form. But it also means my team's been working really, really hard to maintain a safe school environment so students can learn. So that's one of those components that like, when I think about BAR getting to full implementation, when I think about the other pieces that we're really working hard on, I hope that next year, how the first few weeks go, this is not a number we would see. Probably half those days are 3 events that were big involving multiple students with multiple days of suspension, which is most of those days. So there are incidents that were fighting or some sort of like bullying or hazing type thing, which is something like why student engagement is really important to like work on those components, which is why we're partnering with Martina and later on that. And as you know, vaping is still a problem, and we're still working on it. I will say kids are reporting that it seems like less in the bathrooms. It's not gone away, obviously, but kids are advocating and supporting, and we're having lots and lots of meetings and conversations around this. And it's in a gap area right now. Goody Hugh County does not have services that support this right now. We don't have something inside the building. Pat Kelly is working with one of the sheriff's departments to see if we can get something in through a grant. And find a person to help support. So we have a lot of kids that are like open and honest with us, like they want to quit, but they can't. It's hard. This is why BAR is important. This is why our student engagement is important. It's why the teaching component is the most important because that's what keeps kids in the classroom.
Okay. Any questions?
So when you say Nikki, you mean Nikki Larson?
Yeah.
Just for
Yeah, not Nikki Russian.
the folks at home.
Yeah, Nikki Larson. Yep. She's our bar coordinator, part of the day, and other items as well. She does a lot for our building. Any other questions?
I'll just say it's very exciting because having you on board and talking about things we've never talked about before. The 3 Ps, and then having teachers walk through the room. It's exciting. At 32 for 86, We never heard that, we never heard a number like that, but, it's also, sounds like besides that, it's off to a good start for the year.
Yeah, it's a good start, all things considered, met a lot of kids, know a lot about kids already. Met quite a few parents through some of this, which has been actually a blessing, being able to develop relationships in that kind of way, and they're people that work in our community, so sometimes they're helping us out in other ways, even though we're working with the shop at the same time.
And we want safe schools, okay? Well, thank you very much.
Yep, thanks,
Good
Lisa.
to see you. Next issue we have is the busing. Come on up and introduce yourselves, please. Open up a chair, please, if you want. All three of you want to come up, come on up. And Lisa too. Now, one time we had this meeting and nobody's in the front row, so the next time you put a $20 bill under the chair in the front row. Guess what? Somebody did end up finding me went up there. Nobody wants to sit in the front row except for the representatives. Good evening. Please introduce yourselves and welcome.
Okay, I'll start on this end then. Lisa Ryder, Director of Finance and Operations since July.
Okay, Nicole Lee, I'm lead router for Red Wing, and I've been in Red Wing since 2017, but officially routing since 2019.
I'm Nikki Pengirl. I'm the Director of Transportation for Red Wing, and I have been with you guys since 2020.
I'm Jared Reed. I'm the interim location manager for Pursuit for Red Wing.
Martina?
Well, we invited all of you in because we've had quite a beginning to the school year, and so part of them coming in is just to give some updates. I think what is very nice is Lisa Ryder has taken on kind of full charge of opening communications and being responsive to the different transportation needs. So I don't think we have a formal presentation, but maybe just an update on how things have been going, and then maybe an opportunity to ask some questions on how transportation has been working up until now. We're in October.
Yeah, so I can start. So with our busing in this year, we are at the same amount of buses as we were last year, but with shorter routes because of the change in bell times. So we're at 18 elementary buses in the morning and the afternoon, 16 secondary in the morning and in the afternoon. And then SPED, we are looking at 4 vans and 6 buses in the morning for elementary, and 3 vans and 5 buses in the afternoon for elementary. And then for secondary for SPED, we are at 5 vans and 6 buses, both in the morning and the afternoon, which is the same as last year. Things that we have seen this year that contributes to some concern by parents, and then just what we had to do to make the bell times work, is we had to combine some stops, so neighborhood stops. There are families that are walking just a little bit farther to get to stops, and we've heard some concerns about that. So things that we have talked about is to add back in stops, we would have to add a bus, which puts pressure on your guys' budget and also for student drivers.
Why would you have to add a bus to add a stop?
So every time we add a stop, it adds time. So 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on how long we have to go out of the way and how many kids are getting on the bus. So with the change in bell times, we just don't have the time to make the extra stops.
So you couldn't start like a few minutes earlier?
So you can in the morning for elementary kids, but currently our first stop is at 6:20 a.m. So starting much earlier than that is having kids on buses for longer. And then our in between the tiers, so in between elementary and secondary, you only have so much time. So we can't add time to that because of how close our bell times are.
Okay.
I think the other thing to add in is that we have Creekstone too.
Yeah.
I just keep reminding that we have
Yeah.
the Montessori school is also kind of utilizing our busing, so that's another stop piece that's in
Yeah.
here. So we don't talk a lot about, but that's.
Newer this year, more kids this year, more kids on our buses, yes.
Right, so would we be able to accommodate, like, for example, that scenario you just had an extra stop without adding another bus and a cost to the district by having Creekstone have their own busing so that our district isn't implicated by their stops?
So Red Wing you guys have to provide bell times for Creekstone. So there is not a way to have Creekstone on their own buses without expanding your guys' budget, because we would have to add buses to put them on their own with routes.
It's a public charter.
Mhm.
And that's why we have to provide.
Yes.
Transportation.
And you guys get to make the bell times, but with Red Wing and your guys' contract with First Student, we just can't add buses without, or we can't add Creekstone buses without adding cost.
And I think that if they can't meet our bell times, that we call them,
Yeah.
bell times, they can always have the opportunity or the option of looking at other means of transportation for their students.
Correct. Yes, you guys just have to offer.
They have to offer, they don't have to accept.
Yeah.
Other busing stuff? I figured the new guy would come in here with all kinds of new ideas.
Oh.
We're in a contract year, we're coming up to a contract year.
Yeah.
One thing we've kicked around for several years, before COVID, I guess, and after, and since, 1-tier versus 2-tier. Obviously, there's a cost to the 1-tier versus the 2-tier. It's hard to imagine, I went out going by houses 4 times instead of twice, that there's an extra cost. So we may look at that, we may as a board, and through the superintendent, through Lisa too, options for that, to see if we can financially go to a 1-tier versus a 2-tier. But I think we are at the time during the contract to consider that. So, and a shout out to Ms. Ryder there, she's doing a fabulous job with this. I told her that the other day in that accident, she's out there. Thank you for taking the lead on that.
Yeah.
Also, the superintendent, a good leader, is a good delegator, and that's really what it is there. So, a lot of things. But, so that we'll be looking at that.
And I think now is the time to talk about that with the new contract.
Right.
Because the amount of hours that you put in a contract changes with a 1-tier versus a 2.
Right, and then Terry was here, he would say, it just kind of throws the contract out and they can charge whatever, so you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So, yes,
So I also think this is a really good time to rethink about those busing times. I know we're trying really hard to condense it and do everything we can to sort of mimic a 1-tier and a 2-tier system. We're trying to get as close as we can, but now it's so tight that it's really not helpful to many families. And so, where's the happy balance? I don't know what that is. I think we keep trying every year to make the best decisions and find the middle ground where I know we're not gonna make everybody happy, but I'm sure it hurts everybody's heart in here to think about all of our little kids walking in pitch black to try and be at a bus stop by 7 in the morning, right? But we also, in our budget, don't really have another $600,000 or $800,000 to go from a 2-tier to a 1-tier. So, where's the appetite in our community as well to put some dollars behind the interest and the need that I continually hear from families? Well, we can't do it with the dollars we have. This is just, it's not really realistic. And so is there an appetite for figuring out another way to fund a 1-tier bus system? Does that mean going back to the voters? Probably not ideal. So, I just keep thinking that we need to keep bringing all of our collective heads together to figure out ways to meet as many needs as possible and to obviously get our kids to school safely, but also realizing that every decision we make really puts parents in a rough spot. How do they get their little ones to a dark place to get on a bus, or which older student is going to be home to get the younger student off the bus, or how does that work? So also, if we're so crunched with our time that we can't make a 30-second or a 1-minute stop to help accommodate our kids and our families, that kind of raises a red flag for me too. Like, maybe we need to rethink our bell times. And I know we did this year to try and meet some needs, but every time we move the dial this way, that, you know. So I don't know that we're ever gonna get to a happy medium for everybody, but, you know, I'm just throwing out a bunch of ideas for consideration in the future.
Yes.
One other issue with the one-tier system is not having enough drivers, correct? So how are we with that?
So right now, we have everything covered. I'll put it that way, right? And some days that includes me on a route. So before I know Terry didn't drive, he wasn't licensed. I'm licensed, so there are some days I'm on a route. We're dealing with absenteeism right now, which in any industry you have. But we are just covered at the moment. So what I can tell you though is I have 3 people that just started our PDDP driver training program. So probably about 4 weeks, maybe 5 at the most, we'll have 3 brand new drivers. So, yes, so I've been trying to do everything to scour the community to see who's interested.
Time to start driving again.
Yes, come on in.
Yeah, driver shortage has gotten better, but it's not gone. And I don't know about you, but I would be nervous of 10 new drivers, which is what it would take for
Yeah,
a one-tier.
just another comment on the one tier from a driver standpoint. It is hard to attract, you know, an employee for one tier. So we guarantee 2-hour minimum morning and afternoon. The benefit to a 2-tier is those hours are longer for the drivers. A little bit more, makes it a little bit more attractable to people. But whatever way, you know, the board decides to go, we will make it work.
Yes. Yes.
When you consolidate bus stops or eliminate bus stops, what's the process for making that decision?
So we look at the distance between bus stops, we look at the area, the traffic flow, where's the safest spot for a bus to stop, which is always at an intersection. And then we determine, going off of, Red Wing does have policies around bus stops, so determining off of those what we can combine with other stops so that a bus isn't stopping, you know, 3-4 times on a stretch of road. But right now, one thing that we hear a lot is that it's dark out in the morning, and that's not something that we can control, and it does make us feel it's hard to say no to parents that are worried about it, and we just don't always have the option to add bus stops.
One of the biggest frustrations, like I hear and we get, I think as a board, sometimes is just the different sources of communication. Like people are getting information from different people, and I continually bring this up, you know, whether it's a bus driver, if it's Raven, if it's one of you with the transportation department. Do we have a system in place right now where there is cross communication amongst everybody and parents are included in that conversation?
Yes, so parents, if they email, they sometimes get Nicole, they sometimes get Raven, they sometimes get both of them. I would say Nicole and Raven communicate all day long, every day. We text, we communicate with Raven a lot. We communicate with Jared, we communicated with Terry, and an enormous amount. But as far as like the drivers, that's a first student thing. So our team does not communicate with the drivers. We let Raven handle that and Jared handle that. And drivers sometimes tell families something that isn't the safest option or is not able to happen. So if a driver tells a parent something and we get a call from the parent, or Raven gets a call from the parent, we do discuss like safety wise, if that is something we can do or not. Every parent wants their bus stop at the end of their driveway, and most drivers are like, well, we drive right by, why not? And that's not always an option, and it's not always the safest option. So there are times that a driver will tell a family something that we then have to turn around and say, no, we can't actually do that.
And what is, for you guys as the router and director of transportation, what is your typical response time to parents that are emailing and calling? Because Raven seems to have like a really prompt response to families, but sometimes the feedback has been that Raven's waiting for communication from transportation, or parents are waiting for communication from transportation for, I think, like a really long time. And that was one of the big frustrations so far as
So-
well.
Yep, and I understand that. So this startup, I've went back and looked at our email responses. I've looked back at how many phone calls our team gets. So we get about 150 to 200 calls a week during the startup period. That's a lot of
From Red Wing?
for just Red Wing. That's a lot of calls for our team to take. So it does take some time to get back to those. Emails are coming in. When I looked back, there was one parent that did not get a response within like 2 or 3 days. The rest of them are getting responses within 24, 48 hours. And right now, everyone's getting answered. Our email inbox is clean. Everybody gets responses at this time of year.
Yes.
So I downloaded, I have a grandchild that goes to school here and rides the bus. So I downloaded the First Student app,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed that there's a little email icon there. So is that, if a parent needed to contact you, is that the route to go, to use that email icon, or,
No, not from the app, no.
okay,
So that the email icon in the app will, if you're having trouble with the app, that'll go right to our app team, so they can solve any of those issues. And then if they can't, then it comes to me, and then I help troubleshoot.
great.
Boy, you need,
So that's not a good contact
No.
point. Okay,
no, but, I will say, because I've been through several districts, several startups, this has gone really smooth with the implementation of that app. The phone traffic, in our office has been nothing. So that's a huge help.
we'll have to meet the bus one day, I like it.
You know, like any technology, it has some hiccups here and there,
Yeah.
but for the most part, I mean, it's running exactly like it should.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And then, you know, Raven and I will use that to push out notifications if a bus is running late. Everybody will get the notification in real time. You can see where the bus is. It's a nifty little tool.
Yeah, we highly recommend if parents are not using it
Yeah,
to
it's,
start, 'cause it's a great tool.
it's a really good tool.
Yeah.
It's a really good tool, and you can go in and, for me, having to get to a different place, it's not my house,
Mm-hmm.
to know what time, and to see that the bus is getting within 2 minutes. Every single day, it gets to that stop after school when I have to pick her up, so you can monitor consistency. It's very good.
So let me ask a question to those of you that have children in the school. I have no idea how to contact them. Do they communicate that with you? I mean, I know to call for a student, but I would never ever know, as a person, how to contact them. Is that communicated properly across the board for everybody?
It's really complicated. I experience it, and other parents that talk to me not knowing, we clarified it at the last meeting, like more clearly of who you contact for what issue on an immediate basis. So that was really helpful to know. But I think you still have parents, they call the school, they talk to the bus driver, they call Raven at First Student, and then they're told someone from transportation, which you don't know who that is, you don't get someone live. So that was part of that chain of command, or, just conversation that I was asking about, because it is complicated.
Yeah, and I think with Lisa and them on, you're meeting regularly, that is one way to, we need to advertise it, we need to do something to get the word out, but how to do it. I don't have a child in school anymore, but if I had to pick up somebody, I wouldn't know, other than call pick up 8244, I don't know what the number is, that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't remember it, so that's not good. But that's all.
You can call anytime.
So I'm just saying is, if you're somebody out there, how do you we need to do a better job, Ms. Timm.
Is that being considered for the new website?
Yeah, good.
But we still doesn't,
Website's gonna have it all.
or it doesn't help today if we need a problem, so.
So
I got,
we did put it into the e-news a couple of times, so Ann will recycle that through. And then we did do like a little article on the new app, but again, you don't have to Obviously, we don't have children and picking up, but we want to make sure that we will.
I'm just thinking of other people that, you know,
I think that's.
how do you, because communication is always something that it's the first thing that breaks down in problems.
Right.
One of the things, and we have tools and ways to communicate, we won't always communicate. That makes sense? But that's, so, but how can we do it to help our parents and students and all, and you guys, so we can get word out and communicate better and easier, quicker?
I will put in the space that Lisa has done a nice job, and the whole team has done a nice job in meeting weekly, even to, recently we've had a few fender benders. And so we've actually come around twice now, and we talk about how do we optimize, what did we learn from this, how can we better communicate, what are the steps we take our children. So the weekly meetings and bi-monthly meetings are actually new. So it's really important that as emails come in and I get emails to different things that I can actually respond and say, we're meeting today, or we're gonna meet next week and make sure that we address this. That's a nice step in the right direction.
Well, we've come a long ways this year, we appreciate that. There's always ways to improve, you know. But we appreciate you all coming into this evening, this afternoon, and continue to meet like Superintendent States, and Ms. Ryder is doing a tremendous job on the school here, handling it and taking care of that, so appreciate you coming in, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you. And any parents out there, download the app.
Yes.
Next up, we have boiler with Lisa Ryder and Alan Galen. You got a new employee introducing here too?
I do.
Hello, Alan.
Good evening. I invited my friend Al to come be a part of this. Wanted to give you guys a little bit of information on some of the stuff we do. The reason I asked Al to join us today is because, as you know, when we have a boiler in one of our buildings, we have to have a licensed person to be able to run that boiler. And Al has the license that we work under that for our older system that we had. So I kind of asked him to join us today in case you had any questions about that. So just going to give you a little bit of update of what we did over the summer. So we have 2 Cleaver 300 horsepower boilers in our system now. And they run an efficiency around 82 to 85%. So what we did was we bought some Viessmann condensing boilers, and we've added 2 of them in our system, and not for the domestic water, but just for the heat. And them 2 condensing boilers are able to do what 1 300 horse Cleaver could do, and they're much more efficient. These condensing boilers, they're at about 95% efficiency compared to the 82 to 85 we get with the other ones. They're also very a third of the size of our big Cleavers. So that's kind of why we went down that route. We do have it plumbed in that we could add another condensing boiler in there if we have to. The outlook is like, we're only thinking we would have to use one of the Cleavers if it got into January and it was like 30, 40 below. Otherwise, we think the 2 condensing boilers will be able to keep up. But
Is this here for the high school?
it's just here for the high school. I'm talking about the high school. So that was the work we did over the summer to get prepared for this, where we're at right now. We've just been using them for the Viessmanns for a couple months now, and there's still kind of some fine tuning to do. But with that process, we did get a rebate back from Xcel Energy. So I just wanted to share that with you. It was $14,000 rebate that we got back. And I believe myself and Lisa, we were talking, and I think we might try to use that into our ash board problem that we had.
New trees?
I don't know about the new trees, but to pay for taking down the old ones, removal. So with that, is there any questions on kind of the boilers?
Do you have any comment on that?
If you ever want to stop in and come back and.
Can't let Al leave.
If you ever want to come back, and visit one of the rooms, that room back there, and see how big these boilers are. The two 300 horse cleavers that we have, you have to have a chief's license for these because they're so big. These Viessmanns now are 58 horsepower. So, and then, like I said, they're smaller, much more energy efficient. So, just for future reference, we did do a little bit of quotes to see about doing something at Burnside, maybe later on, down the road. You're not gonna see these big fire tube boilers much anymore. They're gonna be going to condensing boilers just because they're so much more efficient, much more smaller.
When was Burnside built again? Is that 94? It's coming up on 30 years.
Yep.
We're 29.
Yeah.
So the current people who have the boilers license can work these, this slides right over, there's
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yes.
Nothing else.
Yeah, so moving forward, if we ever decommission our cleavers, the bigger ones, you wouldn't have to have a chief's license. And the chief is the toughest one to get. It takes about 10 years to accomplish that. You can't just take tests. You have to acquire time to get to there. So, yeah, licensors depend on horsepowers, really. Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to muddy the water and ask about Jefferson and what kind of boiler is
Jefferson's
in
another day.
Jefferson? I'm sorry.
So what are you,
Warm this winter.
what
so
are-
you're asking?
what are you asking?
I'm asking,
That's a fire tube boiler at
okay,
Jefferson.
yes, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, and
That's
in
kind of big.
all fairness, there are good boilers. That boiler at Jefferson will outlast me probably. I mean, efficiency wise, that's what you're going for is the efficiency. And with not using that building on a daily basis, what's besides turn it on and we're just keeping it just so the pipes ain't freezing, really is what we're doing there.
So it's doing that
Yes, it does that. It does it, and it's
very
doing
well.
very well. Yep.
Since you're here, not today, when the time settles down, just looking up here, you're talking about rebates and savings. Looking at the lights, we just had those done a year ago?
Yes, yeah.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah, well,
It'd be nice to know if we're actually saving like
what we're saving on our
down the
monthly,
road.
Okay.
12 months from now, do it not long enough out somewhere when you have time.
yeah, no, I'll come back and give you guys a kind of update.
Just curious if we're actually seeing a savings based upon the dot lights that we put in throughout the schools.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep, thank
Anything
you.
else?
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
See you, Alan.
See you guys.
Okay, we got GCED programming update, GMC. Sherry Johnson, hello,
Chevy. Yeah.
welcome, thank you for coming.
I hope our boilers make it in the GMC,
GMC, yeah.
They have good one.
Yeah, they do have good ones.
Get the ones already.
All right, just introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I have brought my two principals along. Martina asked us a couple of weeks ago just to come and answer programming questions specifically about our REACH program, which is our Setting 4 program, and our Pathways program. So I thought I'd bring.
So I'm Nicole Muldoon, I'm the principal at River Bluff. I have REACH, which is the Setting 4 and Pathways 812.
And I'm Kim Corey, I am the principal at Five Rivers Online and Tower View.
We did give you one handout tonight. It's just an infographic that just lists the services that we have. Our whole purpose is to create services that our districts need and can use to serve the students in their own buildings. And so that's how things get added to this list. I think maybe It was Teresa Blumenstead that had a question when Dr. Wagner said, what would you like to know? And you had some questions maybe about setting 4 or pathways or,
Well,
so we're just gonna open this up and have a Q&A.
well, what the difference, like what curriculum are we using? What's the difference between REACH and Pathways? And then curriculum for those programs?
So REACH is the federal Setting 4 program. Right now, we have 44 students in REACH, 30 of which are Red Wing. And I actually have 8 more referrals in the hopper, which is a lot, 3 of which are Red Wing. So that program is K through 12. Right now, I don't have any kindergartners. But I do have 1 through 12. We also have the STEP program, which is 14 kids right now, and that's the students who have completed their regular high school year and then are staying with us now until they're 22.
Working on transition
Yep.
skills.
And then Pathways is the ALC program. So that is 8-12. Right now I have 35 kids in Pathways, 3 more referrals. I call it in the hopper, that's probably not a professional term. 27 kids from Red Wing in Pathways right now. So curriculum is kind of it would be hard to say everything that we have right now because it's all different for REACH and it's different for Pathways. But I'm happy to get that to you sometime. You'd like to see that information.
What is our REACH program again?
Yep, it's the Setting 4. So it's the kids who have disabilities who for right now can't be in the regular mainstream building. It's always our goal to get them. Yeah, River Bluff and Pathways is that, or I'm sorry, REACH and Pathways are both at River Bluff.
Okay. I think on the REACH program is at the high school. There's a REACH.
Yeah,
program at
it's
the high
different.
school as well.
Ms. Grinstead, you got another question I can tell.
It's what I live for, questions. But so Pathways again, that's for
That's
6 through 12?
Well,
Or,
that's a complicated question.
yeah,
We have Pathways 8-12 at my building,
Right.
but then we have Pathways 6-7 at Patrick's building.
okay. And then how are those two, what's different about the 6-7 program versus the 8-12 program?
The 6-7 students are only in the Pathways program half the day. So they're with Danny Nelson, who is the teacher, and then the other part of the day, they go to, I'd have to look at their schedule, I don't remember what that looks like, but they go to classes with their peers at the middle school.
Okay, so then at River Bluff, they're fully at River Bluff?
Yes.
It's an alternate site?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
and then,
Why don't we do any of the 8 to 12 part in the school? Like we do at Twin Bluff, just out of curiosity.
That's a good
So,
question for Sherry Johnson.
If you're talking about the Pathways program, those students have chosen to go to an ALC. So just like the Tower View students are at Tower View for their programming and not half day at Tower View and half day at Redland High School, the students in Pathways ALC are the same, like they're in the Pathways program, not half and half. So those students have opted into, there are criteria to get into an ALC, but they're in there for that full programming. And the 6-7, the difference between that is it's a school within a school. And that's how middle level ALCs are generally developed. We're trying to still bridge and hopefully build the skills for them to be full-time with their gen ed peers.
So that's typical that the 6-7 age group is gonna have
Yes.
a foot in both essentially. Okay. How many of those 6th, 7th grade students actually then go on to be full-time Pathways 8-12, and how many actually move into the general?
Up until this year, most of the kids from Pathways 6-7, of course, we have COVID in there, they were actually going to the high school. This year, most of them actually came to River Bluff. So I think we only have 6 8th graders right now, and I believe they're all from Red Wing. So they were in the Pathways 6-7 program and then moved to River Bluff this year.
And is that partly their choice?
It's
or
all their choice.
It's all their choice?
Yeah, ALCs are a parent choice program.
So what kinds of things drive a parent to choose that for their child?
for Pathways 812
Yeah,
or 6-7. Most of the time, it's the smaller setting. Just smaller class sizes, more core group of kids that they get to move with. That's been my experience.
Well, midway through the 7th grade year, or possibly, but certainly by that point, we start to make a determination. Does this child have the skills to not need this smaller class size? Can we get them fully integrated and head over to the 8th grade at Red Wing High School? Or are they still needing that more intensive support? Then parents weigh in on how they feel as well, but we're analyzing that to see if we can get them back.
So that's interesting though, because would your goal ever be to get rid of them as a student back to the district? Like just as your own institution, or retain their business and move them to River Bluff? Do you know what I'm asking?
Right, we want, I think with all of our programs, my goal would be to get them back into what I would call their neighborhood school. So where they would typically go to school. So for those students, it would be Red Wing High School.
Yeah, I would say we never want to keep their business. I'd love it if we'd be out of business, right? Then we'd know that we're all doing the right
Right,
thing.
like I didn't mean it
Yeah,
disrespectful.
no, I know you didn't, I know.
And that's
But-
the case.
Wouldn't you wanna keep their?
We want whatever is best for the kid, right? And so if we know that,
They're
and
ready.
that's gonna be in conversation, I think, with the administration from their school, like what's going on here? Is it the right spot? We have the same conversation, when it comes to Tower View or Five Rivers, we're just always in like, I don't know, this might not be the right place, but that's the great thing about this collaboration, is that we work together just to see what other opportunities were there when, I'll just use my own age, like when I went to school, maybe the same time that Jim went to school, there wasn't as many opportunities for kids, and now there just are, and I'm thankful, because we all don't fit the same mold, you know.
And that would be the case with our students in the setting 4, the REACH setting 4 as well. We want to get them to a point where they can go back to their neighborhood school, whatever school they would have attended.
So if you don't get them there though, is that, how do you measure then the effectiveness of what you're trying to do? If you're trying to integrate them back into the district, how do you effectively evaluate if you're doing that or not? Is that based on if the kids get back into the district or you retain them? Is that
It really is.
success
It is
or?
really student specific. I mean, some students may never return to their neighborhood school because of because of life experience, or there's so many factors that go into that.
But good,
But looking
How do
over
you
the entire
evaluate your
student population.
programming then? I guess it would be my overall question, if it's successful or not.
Mhm. Much of the same way that an independent school district does. So our students take MCAs, they do the fast bridge assessments. So all of those same ways that your buildings are addressing that question, we're addressing through the teacher evaluation system, through
counseling through, right, so there might be people, and I'm just kind of speaking in general, I'm not speaking towards Tower View or Five Rivers right now. One of the best collaborations that I find for my programs is with the counseling and the administrators of their buildings, because they're able to share the, the SEL part of a student, the stuff that we can't quantify through tests, right? That the counseling department is saying, we've tried A, B, and C. How about this? What do you think? Well, this is what my program looks like. I could probably really help that student out. Or, I don't know, we have that conversation a lot now with Five Rivers coming in. That was an opportunity for kids that wasn't really there before COVID, right? It was, for Red Wing High School back in those days, it was really Tower View or Red Wing High School previous to Pathways, being as a gen ed student, not a setting 3 or setting 4 student, so.
And for the REACH students, the IEP team meets and talks about whether or not we feel like it's time to send them back to their, like we have a student who's actually gonna start taking class over here at Red Wing High School. So we like to integrate them slowly back into and sometimes they've never been to this building. So then we want it to be a slow transition too.
and usually pick something where it's going to be an early success, so you can build on that.
How does that work for students that aren't
Same thing, so that, so
They go
like
back to
Cannon
their
Falls, they
home
go
district.
back to their home district.
And then do you ever have students who you are transitioning out of reach, that the transition is to move to pathways?
Sometimes.
Or to Tellerview.
Or to tell you? And do you have a high percentage of kids that start in the pathways in like 6th or 7th grade and move to River Bluff and then decide, you know what, I'm ready to try my homeschool again? Does that happen very much, or at that point, is it just that smaller setting is the very best thing and their greatest opportunity?
In my
to graduate
experience, I've been the
from high
principal for 5 years. In my experience, I haven't had a lot of students go from pathways back to their home district, but it certainly could happen.
And then is there any overlap, or do Reach and Pathways kids, are they ever in classes together?
It
And they
depends on
share,
the-
there's
depends on the
teachers that
student.
go back and forth,
Yeah.
Right.
so that we can reduce bills.
And so then how would pathways, like how kids are taught, or project-based learning or teaming, interdisciplinary teaming lessons, how is that different or the same as coming over to our high school?
Well, I don't really know what's happening over here right now. We are just starting project-based learning in Pathways and at Tellerview. I'm not sure how much project-based learning they've been doing over here, so I don't really know. But it is, our focus this year is to do more project-based learning for the kids, because it's really, this is just my opinion, nobody else's opinion. I think it works really well for at-risk students to have
Right.
work in project-based learning situations.
I got one from Miss Corey there,
No.
she's sitting all quietly. How many kids are 5-hour-old? How do you monitor kids that are not performing versus those that are performing? I'm hearing from one parent that kid was falling completely behind because they're not. So can you explain that a little bit? Because with COVID, we always fell behind already, and I don't want more kids to fall behind.
That's a great question.
I came prepared for you, Jim, a little bit. This is as of today, so enrollment does change quite a bit at I'm only gonna speak about Five Rivers right now. We have a total enrollment. This is not the same as an ADM, so please don't use the term ADM and enrollment. They are not next to each other. We have 444 students enrolled right now. That's K-12, 34 at the elementary, the rest are 7-12. 244 of those are Red Wing students, or Red Wing residents anyway. 20 elementary are Red Wing students. Of the 7 through 12 kids, 126 are part-time students, which means that they're taking 1, 2, or 3 classes. And 118 are full-time, and that means, this is where full-time, the word we understand is full-time, like they're in that building, but they actually might be taking 4 classes, 5 classes, or 6 classes. We're in collaboration with Red Wing High School somewhere. I'm glad, one of my main goals from the start has been these going through the cracks, because online school is a place you can hide, right? Red Wing High School might not work for you, because they were telling me what to do all the time, and I was behind, so I'm just gonna go online. And I go online and I take these Edgenuity classes. The nice thing about online and Edgenuity is that I get weekly reports, and I can see where these kids are. And so my high school PLC has their data that they collect is when students are, and I can absolutely give this to them, when they're behind, when they're on track, and when they're ahead. So we know by student, by course, what they're doing. When we get to that point when they're behind, right, because that's really the next part, just like we do at any resident school or in brick and mortar, we're gonna bring it to a team. We're gonna talk through it. We're gonna see if it's just in math. We're gonna see if it's in math and science and reading. And then we use our process, where we're making phone calls, we're doing meetings. That's when we talk about, is this the right setting? Cause sometimes, you know, you're online, that doesn't mean you're not structured. Like some kids need structure. Online is not for every kid. This is what GCD program is so, that you've invested in, which I'm so appreciative of, is this, the 20% of kids that it just doesn't fit, right? For whatever reason. So to get back to that, how do I know if they're behind, hey, have that parent we have this great new, by the way, communication system called Reach My Teach. And Reach My Teach, we can text the parents right away and we get responses right away. So feel free to let me know or let that parent know to reach out to me.
You say you make phone calls, who do you make the phone calls?
Yeah, to the parents, always the parents, kids, parents, kids and parents, kids and parents, kids and
And I
parents.
think online is the future after, we weren't prepared here at
Right.
Redmond at all.
Right,
Until the governor said we had to do it, and we
Right.
got better during that summer, we're trying to get better.
Yeah.
But, it's here.
you guys are the ones, you were the foresight on that, because you guys, at least two of you were on that board when you made that decision. It was brilliant
Yes.
that we were ahead of the game.
But we should have been, we're ahead of the game,
Yeah,
and, it always can be improved.
yeah, absolutely.
And, getting our kids, we're gonna have that gap of students, everybody is,
Yeah.
because COVID, we're
Right.
gonna blame COVID, we're gonna blame COVID as long as we live. But, we can blame it, but we gotta fix it. So
Yeah.
that's why I bring it up to you, and I hope the kids are anywhere doing online are thriving. I
Yeah.
want them to thrive, because that's what we've chosen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you have kids who say, oh, pathways, I thought it was,
Five Rivers.
5RO, I thought this was going to be new for me, but
You bet.
no. And then end up in pathways.
Often they end up, I get a lot of Tower View kids.
I get more.
I get a lot of, and I haven't talked about Tower View, but I wanna reiterate what Josh was saying before, sorry Joshua. I feel Joshua's thing about vaping. Vaping is an epidemic that just takes up, I don't know how much of your day it takes up, but it takes
Hours.
up so much time. So the more we can, I don't know,
It's extremely
it
addicting.
is all we do all the time is deal with the vaping, and that's for me at Tower View. And I know that it's not just kids being worms anymore, they're addicted.
Right.
Like they
It's
can't help themselves. So then it makes you feel like we're just I don't know what to do. So if Red Wing figures it out and you want to share with GCD what you figured out, let us know, because that's the hardest part.
Yes.
It's a time sucker.
I know you guys have staff like of your own in your building at River Bluff, and all the Tower View staff is GCED, right?
No, they're Red Wing staff.
The Red Wing staff, okay. How many staff or coordinators do you currently have like in our district buildings, not River Bluff?
I did not bring that tonight, but I can give a rundown of that. So
Can you
most of our
guess?
staff, most of the staff we hire are actually out in our 6-member districts. A much smaller proportion are serving, what we contract for Tower View, but Pathways and Reach. So let me send that. I did not bring that specifically, but I can do that.
That's a good question.
Mhm.
Probably, I think you're asking it two different ways. You're asking it and you're answering it the same way. You're talking about all member districts, buildings. You're
So
talking just Red Wing.
I will break it down by district.
Well, and
show
just
you.
kind of a follow-up question about staffing, because I've heard, we obviously struggle to find staff, and sometimes that's when we reach out to you, especially like paras we've struggled with, and word on the street is that you pay them better. And so I'm just wondering how that is, why that is, especially if there's staff coming into our building that we're paying you for, why there's a discrepancy in that pay.
So the staff that we're sending into the buildings are not paraprofessionals or classroom teachers. They would just be school psychs, occupational therapists, audiology, physical, those types of staff. Our para contract, our paras are unionized, just like yours. And the last time the board, my board negotiated that contract, we did put a considerable amount of money in their pay scale. So they make about $25 an hour now. Remember, they're setting 4 paraprofessionals. So, we visit the emergency room. The number of injuries is much higher in a setting 4 than it would be in a setting 1, 2, and 3.
And we have statutory requirements. So if I have a classroom and I don't have a para, I can't take kids. So then that affects everybody. We ran into that situation a couple of years ago. I had a teacher but not a para, so I couldn't take any students. So it was really hard.
And it's not that you can take any students,
Well-
but not that, so most of the classrooms in our setting 4 are 8 students, 1 teacher and 1 para.
Yeah.
So to have the 8 students, you have to have both of those staff. Otherwise, you have to reduce the number of
She
students.
doesn't like that.
Some of our 6 students to 1 teacher and 1 para. So it just kind of depends. But so it really, we never want to say no to a district that needs a placement for a setting 4 student.
You supply some special ed staff, right, to us?
The itinerants, so occupational therapy, physical therapy.
Speech and language.
Speech and language pathologists, but
teachers.
not teachers
Paras.
or paras.
Okay.
Yes,
So
all the
when they
districts
come
have
into
them.
the building, who provides the oversight for them? Is
The
that
building principal
our
and the,
administrators in the building?
and the special education, GCD hires special education, in our joint powers agreement, the leadership, so assistant directors, for instance, those assistant directors work with the building principals to supervise those staff.
Okay. And then coming back to then who evaluates if that programming is effective or successful? How do you?
The building principal and that special education lead. So, and if they need support, we'll step in, and help. I can step in. I've done that in 2 of my districts already this year, not Red Wing, but 2 of the others. But we want whatever goals that district and that building has, those staff are working on those building goals. They are not working on some separate goals. They are part of that building staff, and they need to be going in the same direction, rowing in the same direction as the rest of that staff. That's my expectation.
So it's the principals in the buildings.
Principal with the support of that special education leadership. Mhm.
Well,
All
Thank
right,
you very much
thank
for
you.
coming in this evening. Have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
It's a little after 6 now, 6:07 or something like that, so we'll adjourn the workshop with a motion, and we'll convene the regular school board meeting at 6:50. So motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Good, by Ms. Bjornsted, second by Ms. Schoenfelder. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Workshop is adjourned. Thank you.
Lisa, if you can hear me, my laptop died, so I'm not on camera.
Isn't that put down?
It is. I don't know if it's hours, but.
Right. myself, Chair Bryant, and Superintendent Wagner. Board members Ossendorf and Buck are not able to join us tonight. We look forward to them joining us on November 6th, so. We've already done the Pledge of Allegiance. And next thing is approve the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda, or are there any additions or corrections?
A motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by
As is.
Board Member Schoenfelder, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tiff. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We follow the educational plan that's up in the corner here. It's in our book every week. At this time, I will read the mission statement. The mission of the Red Wing Public Schools is to educate and inspire all students as they realize their full potential and become respectful, responsible, and productive citizens. We have some wonderful students with us this evening. So, recognitions and upcoming events. Anybody have any recognitions and upcoming events? Ms. Rowe.
Well, I would just like to say thank you to the community and to the school district for putting on a great homecoming week. I think it was a really fun way to show our school spirit and grab a bunch of our community members and just celebrate Red Wing, and I thought that was really fun. 2 weeks ago, I talked about the tailgate party. That was one of the first that we've done like that, and I hope to see that build every year. I think we had maybe about 300 people that stopped by and ate and played games, and we had face painting and different games. I hope we can just grow on that in the future and just have it be a big community event every year for our homecoming and to show our Winger pride. So thanks to everyone for that. And then I did get an invitation, just so everyone knows, I know you all got it too, for the Veterans Day celebration that the school district is going to be putting on the 10th, Friday the 10th. I don't have the times in front of me, but 10 o'clock. Really great time to come on out and show your appreciation for our veterans. Kristen Bray and her committee do fabulous work in setting that up and getting all of our students involved. So it's a really great event that I hope many of you can join us on that day.
Thank you. Other people? Ms. Schoenfelder.
I thought we should make mention, there's no school Thursday or Friday for MEA.
There is, huh? There is a school, okay. Ms. Tiff.
The fall play at the high school will be coming up November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And I'm trying to remember what it is. You know, it's something Macbeth. It's like Hollywood. Wait, what is it? Macbeth Goes Hollywood? Yeah, yes, Macbeth Goes Hollywood. So it's supposed to be fun. And so we hope people can join us for that.
This Wednesday, we probably all got invited to the Excel breakfast out at Treasure Island. They have it annually for all the people around the county, city, community members, school board. So I'm right now planning on attending at 7:30. And then the veterans thing is on the 10th of November. We'll talk about that on the 6th of November. Superintendent Wagner, do you have anything?
You'll get your pancake mix there, Jim.
That's right, we got that last year, didn't we? We got extra too, for the food.
So it's an incentive to go.
For the food pantry. Food pantry.
You highlighted a lot of things I want to put in the space. We had the Dakota Mural Project this last Monday, very well attended. I believe there's over 300 people that attended. I was at a conference, so I wasn't able to attend, but I got a lot of feedback on it. It was just an amazing 2-year project to unveil, and I think Teresa were there as well.
Yes, yes, it is not end. The mural is not the end, it's the beginning. Because there was so much engagement from the community and interest, and this benefits our kids. So there will be more engagement opportunities. They have a mailing list. If you're not on it, go to, I think it's honoringdakota.org. I was gonna do the hokey thing and write it so it was on camera so people could see it, didn't have time, but they're also on Facebook. So everything, I didn't participate in everything, but everything that I went to was really amazing. So 10 out of 10 recommend.
I would echo that. It's been amazing. As you said, just wonderful, beautiful to watch and attend some of the events and just see the community that's grown around this shared vision. It made me cry, honestly, walking up to the mural at that event because there were, on Monday, because it was just amazing to me to see how many people were there. I just did not expect that. There were, seats for everyone to sit down in front and then people standing behind and out in the parking lot. And it was just heartwarming and beautiful to see so many people and just the diversity of the people that were there. I just keep saying amazing, but I can't think of another word because that's really how I felt, so.
Yeah, it's a very powerful experience. And I think one thing that struck me too is the eloquence of the people from the tribe who spoke and got up without a piece of paper and spoke from their heart. It was so interesting. And many of them are graduates of Redwood High School. But also the students who were there, you could see how proud they were and how happy they were that people in the community showed up for them.
I saw that too, and also with the Indigenous peoples ceremonies that we had in our buildings on that Monday. The pride in the students and the excitement in students, and not just our NASA kids. Our NASA kids did an amazing job, but they were able to bring community into the school so that all of the kids were excited about this event that they helped create. And, my own child got to be involved in it, not a native student, but was invited in to be a part of it. And I just think that that's what we're looking for, is that community where everyone feels like they're part of our school. And I think those events really helped many of our students for that.
It was a beautiful day when I was there. And I found also, besides the people presenting it, talking, the age difference. Little ones to 80-some, I sat by some friends that are 80-some years old, they were there. They just come down to see it, and then you see Chief Redwing's eyes and the buffalo, they just stay with you wherever you walk, explaining all, so it was a beautiful day. Very nice mural. I've said that before as you come across that. Go ahead, you got more?
Could I just recognize Phil White and Nish Skeen, and I know Kristen Bray helped with those events on Monday, the ceremonies at the school, for the work that they did.
Great.
And all the parents who volunteered to drive and herd these kids all day and get them where they needed to be and keep them on track. Which I talked to one parent who said it was really fun, but it's exhausting to manage kids all day. Yes, we know.
Okay, very good. Yes. You have more? You're good? All right, any public comment? Anybody sign up? I don't think so. I did not receive anybody asking. All right, student and school showcase. Dr.
All right, so this is actually a brand new part of our school board, which we'll have at each school board session. So we'll have a student spotlight or a school showcase. This session, the first one, is our 4 students that I had the luxury of getting to know over the course of my tenure, which is only 3 months. So I'm gonna ask them, the 3 of them, Olivia, Shelby, Olivia, and Kelly, to come up to the front.
See, nobody sits in the front row, so you can grab some of those chairs and sit there.
So a little bit about these humans. Last year, as Director of Teaching and Learning, one day, I had some people show up from the district office, these 4, knocking on my door to share some concerns they had at Reading High School. And I don't know if you called my office last year, was it entertaining? By the end of the year, I think we tried to get 9 people in my office. So they were just instrumental in being student agents of concerns that they had, bringing ideas to the table, After a while, I started to think, well, maybe you should join district advisory committee. So these are just 4 of the district advisory committee students. We have 3 that have joined us. They are seniors this year, so they are new to us, but they have a big legacy of really being trailblazers and making sure that student voice is present. They are thought partners with me, they are ideators, they're problem solvers. They are also, I have to give a shout out, they were part of the back to school video shoot this summer, so they were my driver. I'm driving me around town so that I get all my video shots, and it is very hot. They are very safe drivers. They don't know where Cabo Family Center is. So the recognition plaques there are for you to keep, but I'd love for you each to just introduce who you are and maybe a little bit about the time we've interacted, or maybe what district advisory committee has meant to you, or what you've contributed to. So it could be anything.
And also what you're looking at once you leave here. You must have some ideas of what your future holds.
Yeah.
So, start with this.
Okay. Hi, my name is Kelly Pyle. I just think that when I first met Martina, she was the first admin that I felt actually listened and actively worked instead of just saying, yep, okay, I understand, and then didn't follow through. I'm involved in a lot of things at school, so I know and I hear from a lot of people. My plans for the future is I'm going to the University of Queen's in Northern Ireland for microbiology.
Hi, I'm Lydia Bolio. My experience with first meeting Martina is that she was very warm and welcoming, and she really made my voice feel heard. As someone who came here kind of in the middle school scene, so I didn't know as many people, I really valued that an admin and someone higher up really made sure that I knew that I was welcomed here and my voice was important and that I could actually make a change. I'm in a lot of organizations and academic stuff. And after high school, I'm planning to going to University of Belmont in Nashville for music production.
I'm Olivia Shong. With DAC, I'm lucky that I get to be a student representative and to have a voice for other students. And I love how Martina likes to not only connect with students, but she wants to fix that bridge between students, adults, parents, and the community all together to create a better district for us. After high school, 2 very different plans. No certain college, but either accounting or bioinformatics.
I'm Shelby, and I'm also part of quite a few of the school things. And I'm just very thankful that I got to be like a starting point for students to be involved in things such as DAC, because I think it's very important. Like, I've been in Red Wing my whole life, and I try to involve myself in the community quite a bit and like just get to know different cultures and different people, because I think that's fascinating. So like going to like those meetings to learn other points of view are like really eye-opening, because a lot of the time there's like a legal barrier between students and like teachers or community members. Like they like literally can't talk about it. But I feel like with DAC you can talk about kind of like unspoken topics pretty briefly, which has seemed to really help. And after high school, I'll be going to Winona Southeast and then Winona State College for data analytics, hopefully specializing in like the school community to help in that kind of way.
Great, thank you very much for coming in this evening and clearing up something for us too. We always thought Superintendent Wagner ran to all these buildings in the district. Now we found out you were driven around. No, we like to have fun, and I think you do too. But we're very proud to have her here, and very nice of you to come here this evening and say nice things about that. So Want to get a picture?
Yeah, so we're gonna have you have a picture with the entire board, so.
Let's go up in front here, we're gonna take a step away and come our seats and have a picture with the group.
And thank you for being involved.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. Come on up here, you're in the picture,
Where do you want us to stand?
right in the middle, you're the, all three, four of you are the. I can stand behind them.
Want me to get that out of the way as best I can?
Yeah.
I'll go this way.
Okay, you want to go back on?
I like it. Different nice clothes. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Patrick, look at you.
Huh?
Look at how smoothly you work, man.
Well, you know.
Good luck to you. Senior year. Good luck your senior year.
Thank you.
The owl didn't like it. The owl didn't like it.
No.
Does she get, tell you get extra credit for this and all? Thank you now, have a good night. Have a good senior year.
Congrats.
Good to see you. Okay, we're back. We had to take a picture with our 4 wonderful students that came in here this evening. So, all right, where was I now? We got school board reports. That next here. Got school board reports. Who would like to start? Nobody? Nobody wants to start?
Negotiations, we have, next Monday, it looks like a very busy day with, 2 different groups meeting. We keep plugging away. Nothing to bring to you yet.
The show builder?
Yeah, I went to, the district advisory committee where all these ladies tonight and one gentleman from the high school were at, so, it was interesting, I hadn't gone before, just to see, like, they really brought forward a working document that they created last year, like all the different groups, so the students, teachers, community members, parents, I don't remember. But it was really interesting, kind of like what they envision as some of the goals within the school and like action plans on how to get there, so.
I surprisingly have no reports.
You filled in for me at LMC.
Oh,
Take
yeah,
care.
I did, yeah.
I had an LMC meeting just tonight before the meeting, and on the 6th of November, we should be getting a request by the committee to go what plans we're gonna look at for insurance. Could be up to 6 different plans offering, you know, as the rising cost of healthcare is just, it's high. And each group is gonna go back and, on the committee, go back to their groups and start talking about the options out there. Trying to keep premiums down, but obviously deductibles are going up. Found out tonight that the highest deductible that the state will allow is an $8,050 deductible. So I didn't know that until tonight. But we're gonna meet on the 30th as a group to bring back a request to the school board on November 6th meeting. So, yeah.
My meeting was just that
Wellness,
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
wellness, yeah.
Yeah, it's the wellness program.
You have anything?
We have a third-party vendor, and now Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to be hosting that instead, which will allow staff to, because the wellness program was a different vendor. You had to log into your Blue Cross account to see your plan information, and then the wellness program was somewhere else, and now that will all be in one place. Okay. And this year it's free. In the future, Jim will negotiate, so it continues to be free.
Okay.
No pressure.
Superintendent Wagner.
A couple things, again, you see a different admin report, so this session, the second school board meeting of the month, we have actually building and program updates. So remember, the first meeting of the month is our building principals give some updates. Right now, we have just our programs, community ed, nutrition services, et cetera. In terms of kind of what's been happening in the backyard, you have some updates. Oliver and I did go to the MESA conference last weekend, so enjoyed several great keynotes, great breakout sessions. It was a great time for her and I just to connect. We drove together, so we had a lot of office time in the car. We actually did some conference calls with people, so you get top notch from your superintendent and assistant superintendent in terms of optimizing your work time.
Wraparound services.
Yeah, so a little bit in the Wagner Friday updates, you kind of saw the breakouts that we went to. One thing I want to showcase coming up, the next Wagner Wednesday is at Cabin Woods, October 25th at 4 p.m. We were able to secure Prairie Island on November 28th, so that will be a little bit later in the evening. I believe it's a 5:30 start time, don't quote me, that one is hopefully more time. A couple of other quick things. We have our Own Sub program actually launched. So we've done some work with our News to kind of advertise and thinking a little broader casting of a net with that information. Our HR department is working really hard, as is the teaching and learning department, to kind of complement each other for the training. We're also teeing up for our student superintendent advisory committee. So that is, we're going to have a listening lunch session on what our students would really like to do with directors and leaders from buildings as well as myself. So continuing that at K school. And then save the date, November 30th is our first We Are Redmond Public Schools World Cafe, which is a community essentially listening session, dialogue on what we want Redmond to be. It's actually part of our strategic plan and reflection as well. We gathered some insights from our community members on what our plan looks like, our use. So those are just some more like save the date pieces that you'll see those.
I saw in your, just the newsletter that went out to everybody, in back to the substitute, there's a training opportunity the last Thursday of this month. That's not for the Grow Our Own, right? It is, so who is able to come to that or register for that?
Anybody, so all the criteria for being part of that is found on our district website. It's under careers, so employment. So if you apply there, if you want to come to, and however you can jump in if I'm actually butchering this. If you want to come to the training session just to get more information, you can also, I believe, register just for that with maybe the intent of, I don't know if I want to do this. But you're going to get more information about licensing, health fee, fingerprinting, all the pieces that go into the short and sub license, as well as understanding how to actually manage a classroom. So best practices, behavior management, understanding navigating the school. And then I believe, again, whether it is my plug play here, potential subs will make tours of the school so they can make kind of an accurate picture of what's the classrooms. So,
is that something that should go out to the community though, instead of just the newsletter?
We're working with Republican Eagle and other ways to kind of get it out on social media as well, so not just the newsletter.
Okay.
We will have a social media post. And then also part of our tactic that we took from Chris Pica's suggestion, they've been working on this in Owatonna as well, is to have the first training, hopefully get some attendees, and then that was really a launching point for spreading the word about the program for people who came. So we will be offering a second one, probably 2 to 3 weeks following, to just kind of like capture those folks who are like, oh, I hadn't heard about it yet. So that's part of our plan. And we are required to provide a full day training just with the new legislation. So that's part of what we'll be doing during our, the school tour. We'll be there to assist with applications. So if folks are interested, but they couldn't get into the application or just kind of wanted to hear more information first, we'll have support on site to help them complete that application.
Great, thank you.
A couple of other pieces with just subs, because we know that that's a fault line for us in education. We are looking at Red Rover, which is a complementary system to take on call. That's something some districts have had some success in, and many districts have had success in too. So there's wherever we can start kind of getting some more interest or faster match, so we're working on that. So we are working really hard behind the scenes to ensure that our current teachers aren't burning out, and that we have subs to be able to in place, because that seems to be coming to the top quite a bit. And our principals are here with it every day. They do a great job with sub rotations and looking at the fill rates every morning. I'm sure they're up at 4 a.m. as am I. to see how things are going. So shout out to my leader.
Great.
And that's all I have for some updates.
Thank you. Any more questions? Kind of came up during our agenda meeting thing, was breakfast with the board discussion. And decided to do something for all staff at buildings. We did a few years ago, we did coffee and lunch at different schools, and the teachers just walk by and leave. This is more about probably going on a day that the teachers don't have students, such as, I believe, Rome School on Friday the 3rd at Twin Bluff or the high school. And then there must not be any elementary school on December 8th at Sunnyside and Burnside.
So the only thing I have to put in space is my fearless teaching and learning director and coordinator have said. It's a very tight time frame because we have letters training. So if we do breakfast with the board, you have to come in real quick and, you know, so we could look at another day or
Sure.
just a
Maybe we should do that. I like the
What
idea.
about that Monday that they have off, everyone has off because it's conferences? What does that look like during the day? So it's the Monday after the proposed date, not Friday, November 3rd.
So November 8th. The conference day?
No, it's Monday.
Can I say?
What time frame does that run for conferences?
So depending on the school, it's a 9-hour day. So the high school and the middle school are complementing each other in terms of when lunch breaks are. So it's not at the same time. You have some staff that need to get to conferences in other schools. I think it's 11 to 7. Depends what school. So I'm gonna let you guys.
I just wonder if we could do it that morning, and since there's no students there. Before.
Don't do that to
Don't do
staff.
that.
No, please.
Don't worry, you guys. Yeah, that's a really, there's a lot to get prepared. And, we really want them to be able to focus on how they're going to interact with the parents and report about their students. And I think putting something like, they don't really need to talk to us that day.
Well, I think it would be, if I might speak, at Burnside, we will have a 10 to 7 day, and that 10 to 11 o'clock is a work time. I wouldn't assume or want to assume that those folks will come in earlier than that 10 o'clock time to get ready. You know, they will have been preparing, you know, prior to that, but, contractually, we have them there from 10 to 7. And then for us at Burnside, we'll have that 10 to 11 work time. And then 11 to 7 will be conferences. They will have an hour that they are able to build in for their breaks.
So let's focus maybe the fact that the letters training is those days that, the lady was talking about. Let's back up here. Do you like the idea of breakfast with the board? I do. I mean, we'll come up with, you know, donuts and coffee and stuff like that different. So does
So
anybody
let's-
not like it?
Let's take another step back and say the idea, the intent of this kind of an opportunity would be for us to get out in the buildings, B, to have staff be able to just get to know who we are. Doesn't have to be any agenda, it's a bridging opportunity, it's, building community within our own district. Several years ago, the board provided box lunches for every single staff person, and through the course of the week, we did Monday at Twin Bluff, and Tuesday at the high school, and Wednesday at college. I mean, we each there was a different day, and so whoever could go over a lunch break from like 11 to 1 and sit in the lunchroom, and you're available, right, to bring your concerns, your joys, and just get to know us as people. So that was what we did several years ago. Whoever could go during that time, it wasn't, mandatory or anything. And so we were thinking, well, that would be kind of nice to show our appreciation. Again, maybe not lunch because it does become spendy, but, could we do bagels with the board or breakfast with the board or, something maybe before school on a day where, people are coming in and they get their coffee filled. They can grab a donut or a bagel on us, and then we're there to say, hey, good morning, hope you have a great day. It doesn't have to be anything major or big, But just a way for us to bridge some of that. We've had that opportunity with our leadership team, and it's felt really good to get to know them and for them to get to know us. And, we're all kind of in this together. So that's kind of where it came from. So I like the idea as well. When we did lunch and we were just available to talk with people, it was really fun to get to know our staff. So I really enjoyed it when we did it several years ago. It doesn't have to be a whole lunch. It could be like an hour before school or whatever, and just be in the teacher lounge and be there. So it could be as simple as that, or we could go back to a lunch or whatever people want to do. Or if you don't like the idea, we don't have to do it either, but.
Go ahead.
Well, I think it's a good idea, and it would be interesting to know, like, I don't know, timing wise, like when I left the middle school, the time before school, before kids came, was very short. And we had a bigger chunk at the end of the day. Maybe it would be better, depending on the building, to do, no,
Not that way anymore.
not that way anymore,
We have
but,
40 minutes in the morning and,
okay,
10 minutes in the afternoon.
okay.
So
So
we're
just,
trying to
I
work
think,
it into like their day with
Right.
like extra time.
right,
We're looking
well,
at-
yeah, with the part of the day where they have the chunk of time. So that people feel like they have enough.
We were looking at days there were no students in the
Okay.
buildings. That way we could come, let's say they started at 8 o'clock, I'm just using 8 o'clock. We could be there at 7:45 to 8:30, they can come in, grab a coffee, a donut, go do their thing. I think our goal, our idea was to hit all the buildings, but with no students there. So it's not a rush. It's not a, I can't go because I got kids here at this time and stuff.
So on our side of it, it's more like an open house.
It's just.
Where we are sitting there, hanging out, and people just kind of come and go as they fit, as it fits their.
We'll be there first, a
Yeah, not all
specific
day,
time,
yeah.
but you'll serve the food.
Right.
So my suggestion is we let them come up with the dates and then let us know well in advance so we can plan accordingly to be there. Is that fair enough? Is that what I want to do?
Yeah, and if it doesn't work to go on a day that students are there, because usually that's a work day or you've got some PD or something planned, if it's 40 minutes before school, we can be in the lunchroom for.
Whatever. I think we leave it up to the principals to let us know what
Maybe
works
pick
for
some
them.
dates.
As for all staff too.
Right.
Custodians,
Right, for everyone.
Okay. We'll
So-
wait to hear back. Yes.
I will work with the principal.
Yep.
Just to kind of get the vibe on what that looks like and feels like, and then I will share it out.
Yeah, that wasn't that, we'll let you coordinate it with them and let us know. Consent agenda. Anybody who have anything they wish to pull? Hear none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rose, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Tiff, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Donations and grants, superintendent.
We have two, so in the amount of $6,119 from the Red Wing Basketball Association. There was a replacement for the backboard for Sunnyside. And the second one in the amount of $200 from Timothy and Margaret Chivas. That's one. Sunnyside and Burnside Innovative Learning Fund, so that's two great contributions to our school districts. Thank you for that.
And we thank them very much for the generous donation. This is a resolution, we need to do a roll call vote. So, go, you have a question? Go ahead.
Did we ever have any motion on the milk fund?
Let's get through this first and then we can come up with that at the end.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution accepting donations and grants.
Is there a second? For motion by Ms. Tiff, second by Ms. Schoenfelder. We'll start with Ms. Bjornsted.
Aye.
Ms. Schoenfelder.
Aye.
Ms. Tiff.
Aye.
Ms. Rowe.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much for your generous donation. We'll go back to Ms. Schoenfelder's question. Have we had anything yet?
So we haven't really connected on what we would call a milk fund or donation, and that's lots of moving targets at the district office, not an excuse, but Jess Penny has been out, working with our nutrition services staff because we have gaps. And we've been working on an audit, so that's our apologies on our end, but yes, we'll have to note it. Maybe Lisa, if you're listening to this, we'll note that at the next agenda meeting. And it's more about naming it something than the angel fund, so that we can prioritize the funds that are donated towards that. And Lisa, I don't know if you have any other.
I think we just need to connect and make sure we're on the same page.
Great. Hope the people listening, if you're wondering what the milk fund is, if students do not take a lunch from the school, they do not have to pay for the milk. So if people want to donate for the milk so they can get it, that's up to them. Kind of like the Angel Fund donating for the lunches. But we can't use Angel Fund for that, so we have.
And we can't use school lunch funds to subsidize just milk for students.
Correct.
Bureaucracy.
Okay, assurance of compliance 2023.
And this is just more, we have to get this in front of you in terms of making sure that we have all of our assurances done for a school district. And then added onto this is our mandatory reporting training, which all of our staff members do have to complete by November 15th of each year. We have the Vector platform that allows us to do that, and it's all staff members that do that. So just a combination of the assurance of compliance and then our mandatory.
Okay, any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the 2023 assurance of compliance as presented.
Motion by Ms. Bjornsted, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schoenfeld. Any questions? It's not a resolution, straight up vote, so. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ms. Ryder, come on up, please. Revised GCED LTFM plan, not the GMC. That's what I said earlier. GMAC. GCED, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. This is a report regarding GCED's approach towards the LTFM resolution that they also need to redo, similar to what we needed to redo related to the gender neutral restrooms. And they had $10,000 for each subsequent year in their plan previously. They also needed to remove them without having all of the details and determine that they actually don't have a need for those dollars. So they have removed them completely from the plan. So what you see before you is the exact same plan, but with $10,000 less for 25 and 26 than what you had seen previously. But they do require that, although their board approved this already, now all member districts boards must approve it as well. And so the resolution that is before you is for that approval, so that this can be a change made mid-year is what MDE will do with that.
Okay, and a small formality by the state to go back at us, so. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I move to approve the resolution approving school district number 6051. Revised long-term facility maintenance tenure plan and application materials for the paid 2024 levy certification.
Motion by Ms. Schoenfeld, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Rowe. Since this is a resolution, we'll do a roll call vote. Any discussion? Ms. Rowe?
Aye.
Ms. Tipp?
Aye.
Ms. Schoenfeld?
Aye.
Ms. Bjornsted?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Upcoming events, meetings and adjournment. Our next school board meeting is November 6th. There's 5 Mondays in October. So we heard some very good things tonight. I thought, we heard from the principals in the meeting before, the Reverend Ms. Grove, and Ms. Cooney, and Mr. Pago, I believe. Now that I heard from Mr. Fuchs. They're very good. They all did a wonderful job. It's a good start of the year. Very happy with the way things are going. You have our full support. I think there's things out there occasionally, no matter any time you have something new, there's some out there trying to maybe don't want to change or accept it. Just let you know we're here. we appreciate everything. And the board, to my knowledge, is 100% behind you and your leadership team. So,
I embrace change. I have a sticker.
so with that, anybody has anything else? Otherwise, one more thing we didn't put on here. It's on the, never mind, it's on here. I see it now. Okay, anybody else have anything? Otherwise, we will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Rose, or second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Schoenfeld. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.